Is there?
There's 37 people there.
All right. Hello, 37 people. Welcome. Welcome. Justin, is there a way that I can see the chat so I can see where folks are from?
It should be on your right side, although it might not show because you're showing your presentation.
What do I stop sharing?
We have Anelia from Fort Collins. We have Whitney from Charlottesville. In the upper right-hand corner, you should see a little message box that says chat above a Q&A. Maybe you can click on that.
No, not in full screen. Why don't I stop sharing and then I'll start to share again? Can I do that?
Go ahead.
Because I would like to see where folks are from. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Don't fear the Reaper. Where's everybody from? Ottawa. Wonderful. Ottawa. The nation's capital. I love it. Ottawa. Welcome. Phoenix. Oh, beautiful city. What is it? Skyview Airport? Sky something airport. Phoenix. I love it. Northern Colorado. Welcome. Welcome. Atlanta. Love Atlanta. Beautiful city. Of course, Northern Colorado is a beautiful part of the state, too. Detroit, Michigan. There's Phoenix. What the heck is that airport in Phoenix? Sky Mall? No, it's not Sky Mall. Sky View, Skyport.
Some resources for you that you can go visit after.
Yeah, there we are. Sky Harbor. 100 people said Sky Harbor. Thank you. Everybody knows Phoenix better than I do. Long Island. What town, Lisa? Where in Long Island? Long Island's a big place. North, South, Nassau, Suffolk. You got to be more specific than that. Santa Barbara, UCSB, Santa Barbara. I used to spend a lot of time in Santa Barbara when I was stationed at Vandenberg Air Force Base where's Vandenberg? Vandenberg Air Force Base in Lompoc. In Lompoc, of course. Chicago, welcome. Charlottesville, Virginia, welcome. We had Northern Virginia, too. Welcome. All right. All right. Shreveport, Louisiana. I was in Shreveport. I was at a wedding in Shreveport. Nice little town. Nice community there. Yes, Lompoc. Thank you. I got it. East Williston. There's a hospital in East Williston. I used to get off in East Williston because I was meeting friends in No, I got off in Mineola because I was meeting friends in East Williston. That's it. I used to get off. You're right near Mineola, Lisa. Yes, I know East Williston. Used to go to a great Italian restaurant there. That was years ago, though. I'm sure it's not there. Birmingham, Alabama. I would like to visit Alabama, capital city. Birmingham too. Welcome. All right. I feel like that's enough cowbell for a while, right? So let's go back. All right. We got to fade down on Blue Oyster Cult. Welcome, everybody. Don't fear the Reaper. Planned giving is not a death conversation. We're gonna make sure that you understand that completely. Not only what it's not, of course, but what it is, naturally. And here's what we're going to talk about. What it is, well, what planned giving is, who you're going to have this non-death conversation with, how to get started so that your conversation with these folks is simple. Planned giving is simple. I'm glad you're here because that's a common misunderstanding that it's complicated and we need lawyers, and not true. Not true. Settle down. It's simple. And what is the conversation about? We know what it's not. We know it's not about death, but what is it about? I've got some promotion ideas for you and continuing ed if you'd like to learn more about planned giving, and the all-important Q&A naturally. And I know that we're going to get some help curating those questions as they come in. Here's what planned giving is. Here's my definition. This is a way of giving to your nonprofit where folks are thinking very carefully about their long-term plans, their estate plan, their retirement plan, and how your work fits inside their plan. So these are plans that obviously involve, right, dear loved ones. Family is all part of estate plans and retirement plans. And how do you fit into those long-term plans? And for today, these are gifts of cash at the donor's death. There are other methods of planned giving that we're not going to talk about today that are different, but we're going to talk about the place to launch your planned giving, the place to start so that you have easy, non-death conversations with your potential planned giving donors, okay? And that type of gift in people's wills, that's a gift at the donor's death. I call this get a finger, grab a hand fundraising. We can learn some lessons from these iconic brands and thousands of others. Pick one example. You book a seat on Delta. Does it end there? That's the beginning. You've given them your finger. They want some more. You want to prepay the Wi-Fi? Do you want to upgrade your seat? Naturally, you start with economy. Do you want economy plus? Do you want an economy basic plus? Do you want economy choice basic plus? Do you want business? Do you want to make that big venture? Do you want business plus? Do you want business flexible? Do you want to prepay your bags, right? So we are, and all these other brands, of course, lots of others similar, right? The initial transaction, we're not taking transactional, the transactional idea from this. We're involved in relational fundraising. But the broader concept of these folks that you're going to be talking to, and we're going to talk about who the perfect prospects are, very next slide. They've given you something. They've been supporting you for a long time, and you'd like to take it a step further. So that's the way that that's the parallel between these brands and our work in planned giving. All right. It's not the transactional nature of it, naturally. That is not what we're taking away. It's just that they've done a lot for you, and you're asking them to take another step. So who are these folks that you're going to have this conversation with? These are the people who love your work, your mission, your values. They love what you do. They love what you stand for. And how do we know that? Because these are your consistent, loyal donors. These are folks who have been giving to you for many years. They may have skipped a year or two here and there, but consistent, loyal donors. And I like to start planned giving with folks who are roughly 55 to 60 and over. The reason for that age is that's the age at which folks start thinking about their long-term plans, estate and retirement plans, and we're going to be talking mostly about the estate plan, as a way of giving back to the causes that have been important to them and to their families. All right. Notice I didn't say it's the first time they start thinking about their estate plan. You should have an estate plan, a will, as a basic part of an estate plan long before 55 years old, long before, especially if you have children, because you have guardianship issues. But this is the time when folks start thinking about giving back through their estate plan, okay? That's why I like to start with 55 to 60 and over. And you're going to have this conversation with your board. You expect leadership giving, right? You expect leadership from your board in any significant undertaking, and planned giving, nonetheless. Notice I said significant, not difficult. We're not making planned giving difficult, but it is a significant undertaking. You're starting to talk to folks about long-term gifts to your nonprofit. That's significant. My voice just break? Significant. I'm 14. Significant. All right, I have two. I'm not even comfortable calling these takeaways. Mandatory. You got to take these away. I have two. It's only two. Here's one of two. You are not only having this conversation with your wealthy donors, Notice when I was talking about the ideal prospects, just one short slide ago, I didn't say anything about the average gift size for those long-term, loyal, consistent donors. I said nothing about how much they give. I talked about their longevity, their loyalty, their consistency. And I literally mean this. It's not hyperbolic on the low end. If these folks have been giving you $10 a year, and they've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years, and maybe even in 20 years, you see 25 gifts, because some years they give multiple. But if each one of those gifts is literally $10, they are a very, very good prospect for your planned giving program. They love your work. They're thinking about you often, maybe even sometimes more often than once a year. So don't think planned giving is only for your major donors. You'd be leaving a lot of money on the table. You'd be making a big mistake thinking it's only for major donors, wealthy donors. And you'd be skipping mandatory takeaway number one, which is probably the most egregious thing that you'd be doing. All right. So ignore gift size when you're going back and querying for consistency and longevity of giving. Very important. So how are you going to get started so that you are having a conversation that is simple with your potential planned giving donors? You're going to focus on charitable bequests. These are very simple gifts in wills. So what this means is that alongside your donor's husband, wife, partner, children, grandchildren, maybe even dear friends. Sometimes dear friends work their way into our wills because they're in our hearts. Alongside all those important people in your donor's life, there's a gift for you. It's called a bequest. There's a bequest for you in their will alongside all their loved ones. This is the place to start planned giving. And we're going to talk about why right here. The keen-eyed among you may notice the first letter of each bullet spells out not death. See subliminal messages there. It's not subliminal if I point it out, but not death. We're not talking about death. All right. No kidding. The average charitable bequest in the U.S., $35,000. Now, that is a U.S. statistic. I know we have at least one folks from Ottawa. So I don't know a Canadian, but, you know, I bet it's very similar. Canadians are just as generous. So you'd be close, I'll bet, in that ballpark. But the average bequest in the U.S. is $35,000. That's a pretty substantial gift for probably every small and mid-sized nonprofit. And it may be much, much bigger than the lifetime giving that the person has done, right? Nobody's going to put a gift in their will for $10. Even the $10 donor that I was talking about, which is still remains, hasn't changed in the past 5 minutes. They are an outstanding prospect for your planned giving program for a gift in their will. But they're not going to put $10 in their will. The smallest gift I've ever seen in a will is $1,000. And that's an outlier on the low end. But the average bequest, $35,000. Oh, it's oh so easy for your team and your donors. Why is this so easy? This goes to the heart of why gifts in wills, charitable bequests, are the place to start to launch your planned giving. 3 reasons. Everybody knows what a will is. Everybody knows they need a will. And everybody knows how wills work. Everybody. That means your donors, so you don't have to spend a lot of time marketing resources, educating donors about what a charitable remainder unit trust with net income makeup provisions is and why that would be advantageous to 0.1% of the population. Everybody knows what wills are. Everybody knows they need a will. Everybody knows how wills work. And that applies to your team too. So you don't have to train up your team on the intricacies of that arcane charitable remainder unit trust or charitable gift annuities or why life insurance is valuable or, you know, pension planning. You don't have to train up your team. You don't have to educate your donors. Now, in out years, if you want to, you know, those gifts I just mentioned, those can be valuable. They can be valuable, but they're not the place to launch your planned giving. the place to launch is with these simple gifts in wills. For those three reasons. I know I said them twice. I'm not going to say them a third time. Those three reasons make it easy for your donors and easy for your team. You're talking about what your donors love, talking about your work, your mission, your values, your programs. That's starting to get at what this conversation is. I'm going to go an even step further very shortly, but you're not talking about wills, technical wills conversations. Well, do I make this some kind of residual gift, or is it outright or something? Anything like that. Well, it's coming in the second to last bullet. You're referring those folks with those questions to their attorneys. You are talking about what you know best and what you have in common with your donors. Your work. The value of these long-term gifts to your work. All right? Expect that most value, and I have more to say about what the conversation. Don't worry. More specifics even. Expect most donors won't tell you for every charitable bequest, again, gift in will, right? Synonymous. Those mean the same thing. That you know about. For every one you know about, there's another 7 to 8 that you don't know about. So that means the vast majority, 8 out of 9 or 9 out of 10 are not telling you that you're in their will. You give people lots of opportunities to let you know, right? Like check off a box on a mailing, or send a reply email, to let you know that they have done it. But a lot of folks are just never going to tell you. It's just too personal and too private for them. That even when you're in their will, it's just too personal for them. They're not going to tell you. So there will be a lot of folks who do tell you, of course, and you'll welcome them and thank them. But there'll be always a lot of folks that won't let you know. You won't find out about those gifts until the person has died. Tell donors to talk to their attorneys. That's what I was explaining earlier. Anything technical about how do I do it, that all you respectfully refer them to their attorneys. You're keeping the conversation about what you and your donor have in common, your work. They love it because you're talking to loyal, committed donors, not just recent and certainly not newly acquired. Your planned giving program. One thing I can promise you is it's not going to acquire new donors. Folks who don't know your work aren't going to put you in their will. It doesn't work like that. They need to know you. And you're talking to the folks who know you best because they're your committed, most loyal donors. So you have in common your work with them. That's what the conversation is about. Again, I've got even more detail about this conversation. I'm building it up, right? It's tease. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth the time waited. All right. And halt. Successful planned giving programs can stop right here, because you can have a very respectable planned giving program and only ever promote charitable bequests, gifts and wills. This is the 2 of 2, mandatory takeaway. You got to take these things away. It's not only for your wealthy donors, and you never, ever have to go beyond these simple gifts by will. As I said earlier, you can in some out years if you want to, but not launching. Launch with simplicity, gifts in wills. And if you don't ever want to go beyond that, 15, 20 years from now, your planned giving program is still promoting only charitable bequests. Absolutely. It's successful. It's going to be scalable, sustainable. Charitable bequests are roughly 75 to 90% of all the planned gifts that you're ever going to have anyway, if you do expand beyond bequests. Of course, if you don't, they'll be 100% of your gifts, most likely. Or you'll get some gifts that you haven't been promoting. But let's say it'll be 100% if you never go beyond bequests. But even if you do go into the charitable trusts and life insurance and charitable gift annuities, etc., those other gifts, still a minimum 75% of all your gifts are going to be charitable bequests throughout your entire program. Name the biggest charities you want with the the highest multi-billion dollar, right, double-digit billion-dollar endowments. University of California. We had University of Arizona. Saw folks from New York. I didn't see anybody from New York, so I'm not going to say any New York. Texas, University of Texas System. Chicago, University of Chicago. The biggest charities you want to name, I assure you, at least 75% of their planned gifts are these simple gifts and wills. It's just so common. They're always going to be the most popular planned gift by far, at least 3/4. So you never have to go beyond bequests if you don't want to. If you do, that's terrific, but I recommend strongly that you launch with charitable bequests. Start simple. So what is this convo? Now, all right, I've been teasing it. What are you actually talking about? You're not talking about death. You're talking about life, the life of your nonprofit, the sustainability of your work, your mission, your values, your programs, sustainability, how important your work is in your community. However you define community, it might be a local community, might be a county, a state, your province, might be the nation, the globe, however you define community. How important your work is to that community for decades and generations to come. And how ugly the future would be if your work ceased 15, 20, 25 years from now. Your work stopped. Well, the planned gift that you're talking to your donor about is intended to prevent that ugly future from ever happening, because it's about the sustainability of your work. That's what the conversation is about. It's a conversation about life, the life of your nonprofit, and how important it is for your community that that work continue for decades and generations. That's what the planned giving conversation is all about. I feel like a solemn moment. All right. So here's where we are. We talked about what it is and who you're going to have the conversation with, those best prospects, right? The most loyal, committed folks that you've got giving to you, how to get started. So you have these simple conversations. You start with gifts and wills, charitable bequests, and we now know what this conversation is all about in that solemn moment. I've got some promotion ideas for you. For events, you're already doing speaking points, whether you're writing the speaking points or someone else is, put a couple sentences in about how simple it is for the audience to include you in their wills. How a couple of sentences about it's so easy for you to do. We're now, well, take a step back. We're now focusing on long-term gifts for our work, because you all know how important our work is to our community. And in focusing on that, we're encouraging gifts in people's wills, your wills. It's so easy for you to include us in your will. Just talk to Tony at the end. There he is in the back. He's probably sitting at the bar. And, he'll explain how important these gifts can be for us, right? That's it. 4 or 5 sentences. I'm not talking about, more than a paragraph. It doesn't take up 5 minutes in your event. A couple sentences. And if you're doing a program, whether digital or print, doesn't matter, little sidebar. I'm a big fan of sidebars instead of articles. You'll see my promotion ideas, sidebars. Little sidebar. Again, 30, 40 words. Focusing on long-term gifts. It's so easy for you to include us in your will. Here's a contact person. Let us know how we can, let us know if you want to talk about it. For some print ideas, I've got a couple of print ideas for you when you're doing your marketing in print. Sidebars or articles. Articles, again, I'm a big fan of sidebars. Articles, well, if you feel you have to write 300, 350 words, okay, I'm trying to keep it easy, low lift. Sidebars, 30, 40 words, right? In the newsletter or your annual report. And the annual report can be an ideal place to recognize your planned giving donors. If you are going through that exercise of recognizing all your other donors, right, by recognition levels, whether that starts at maybe $100 for you, or maybe it starts at 1,000, and then you have other levels, right? If you're recognizing those folks in your annual report, whether print or digital, your Planned Giving donors deserve that same recognition. So I would recognize those folks there, of course, with their permission to use their names. And you're inviting others to join along with them. Some digital ideas, again, sidebars in your e-newsletter, articles, only if you feel you have to, like only if your VP of communications, marketing communications says, yes, you do have to fill a page. Yes, we do need an article. Okay, what are you going to do? But if you can get away with a sidebar, do it. 34, well, maybe not 30 is a little low. 40 words or so, 40, 50 words in a sidebar, boom. So much easier to write, so much easier to get approved. You don't have to worry. You don't have to, right? Approval. You got to think about it's got to go up the chain, right? Easy, low lift. Simple page on your website. Page. One page will do it. Maybe it's a picture of a donor couple that has included you in their will. Well, each of them has included you in their individual wills. Couples don't make wills. Each person has their own will. So they've included you in their wills. Maybe a little pull quote, a contact person, and some language about how important long-term gifts are to your work, how important it is that your work be sustainable for the community, right? Like we talked about. Same messaging, same exact messaging. One page should do it on the website. And email signature. Here's something that everybody could put in their email signature. You can include us in your will. Ask me how. I probably should say, ask me how simple, right? Because you don't want to get into ask me how easy it is, right? So easy email, just a little email signature, that just to encourage folks. Again, I'm the evangelist for Planned Giving, so I like to promote Planned Giving in as many outlets as possible. Direct mail. Now here I'm envisioning direct mail that is not devoted to Planned Giving. So it's direct mail, some other purpose, because I'm trying to keep it low lift and low cost. So some other purpose mailing, you've got it going out, put a buck slip in to that existing package. Now, buck slip, some folks, you may not know, what I'm envisioning buck slip is it's printed 3 on a page. That's the little footnote there, the asterisk. I used to be an attorney, so I can't help. I got to footnote things. So that's why there's a footnote there. You printed, so 1/3 of a page, each one. You're just dropping 1/3 of a page into the envelope. Doesn't increase your postage cost. Simple 1/3 of a page. Repurpose that exact same sidebar that you did in your annual report, that you put in your event program, that you put in your e-newsletter or your print newsletter. Repurpose that sidebar, 1/3 of a page, drop it in. Beautiful. Use your reply envelope flaps for self-selection check of. Look at that. That's egregious. This is supposed to be check off. Check off. This is supposed to be an F there. Check off. Oof. If Virtuous and We Are for Good, if they send you a survey, you should flag this. You should flag this. This is egregious. Shouldn't exist. Check off. Flag that in the survey. So what I mean here is, if you're willing to put aside that significant error, what I mean is next time you print a run of reply envelopes coming back to you, the outer envelopes that are sent back to you, on the flap, you're already printing the envelope. So you're already doing a run of whatever, 500, or maybe you do 5,000 or 25,000. You're already doing the run. So I'm not saying do this just for this purpose. But next time you do the run of reply envelopes, on the back flap, put a little check off. Send me information on including your organization name in my will. Boom. And then, of course, whoever opens your mail, needs to know to flag those for you. If it happens at some places, you might not be opening the mail in the office. It might get done like at a caging vendor or something. So make sure they know to flag those ones that get checked off. But you're already printing the envelope, put a little check off on the back flap. And then I do say, if your budget allows for mail devoted to Planned Giving, it does pull very well still. It is the gold standard. Your paper mail is not junk mail to your committed, loyal donors. They love your work. They're opening your mail, All right. Again, this is not an acquisition program. We talked about that. But for your committed loyal donors, they're opening your mail. So if you can afford to do paper mail, folks open it. And because this is such a personal conversation, direct mail can be very effective in cultivating and soliciting for gifts and wills. So this is what we have looked at. Look at that, perfect timing. All right, I got a little continuing ed, and then to the all-important Q&A. I hope we are curating the questions so that you can read them out, and that'll make the question and answer much more efficient. I hope there are questions. I'm doing my best to channel you, but I can't anticipate everything. I'm trying to anticipate as best I can, but what's on your mind, please ask. So if you want to learn a little more about planned giving, I have a free how-to guide, Unleash the Game-Changing Power of Planned Giving at your nonprofit. You can snap that QR right there. It'll take you right to the page. You can download it. You can snap that right now. If you don't have a QR scanner for some reason, you can go to tony.ma/guide, all lowercase there, because capitalization matters in Bitly. But if you got the QR scanner, just scan that. You can get the my free how-to guide, a little more detail about launching planned giving at your nonprofit. If you like books, this is an older book, so I'm not even sure that it's digital. But if you like hardcover books, I recommend this one, Planned Giving Simplified. It goes beyond wills. It would be hard to write a book just on wills, but it's a simple explanation of planned giving. And so it's very consistent with my philosophy of launching simply. And I also host a podcast, Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. It's the #1 podcast for nonprofits. We've got over 13,000 weekly listeners in small and mid-sized shops. It's not just planned giving, though. It's everything that I think small and mid-sized shops struggle with. I'm picking the brains of other folks because my narrow niche is planned giving. So I'm picking the brains of other folks to talk about, marketing, technology, volunteer management, board relationships, all the fundraising topics, etc. Everything I think small and mid-sized shops need to hear. So that's Tony Martignetti Nonprofit Radio. All right. I'm going to stop the share. So if you wanted to scan the code, last chance, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. All righty. Do we have cues? Is anybody still there? Okay. I guess I'm doing the questions on my own. All right. Oh, Justin. Well, I'll take the first one that I do see. Justin, if you could read some off to me, that'll help save time. But have you ever seen a Planned Giving Society event? Seen them. I've hosted them. Sure. When you have enough people, that's from Whitney. Thank you very much, Whitney, for asking. When you have enough people in sort of a recognition society in a recognition society for planned giving, then yeah, when you think you could get a dozen people or so at an event, could be a lunch. I've done lunches most popularly because these are older folks, so they like middle of the day. I've done some like receptions, like beer and wine receptions. Done those too for planned giving. Sure, you can when you have enough of folks around your around planned giving or in your recognition society, Whitney. Absolutely, I would say go ahead and host events. You won't be there initially, but you can, you know what, Whitney, this is a good point to bring out for everybody. You can be very gracious and grateful and sincere and heartfelt, all those things, without hosting events. It can come through. It can come through in your messaging. Phone calls. Phone calls are a terrific way, of course, to thank folks, right? So you don't have to have an event. You don't have to spend a lot of money, is my point, to be heartfelt and sincere in your thanks that your planned giving donors have put you alongside their husband, wife, children, grandchildren, partners, and maybe dear friends in their wills. You don't have to spend a lot of money to be sincere. All right, I'm going to keep going. August is Make a Will month. Yes, I like to take advantage of that. Thea, August is Make a Will month. Would love to learn more about what this looks like for you. Just you're reminding folks that it's Make a Will month, and you're encouraging them to, when they do that, to include you in theirs, or if they've already done their will, include you in theirs. Yeah, August is a month that I remind nonprofits of the importance of planned giving, and I encourage nonprofits to remind their committed loyal donors about the value of including your work in their wills. So absolutely right. Yeah, Thea. It's not off the top of my head all the time. Thank you for reminding me. August is definitely Make a Will month. I don't want to only do the later ones. Let's see. Somebody said, love that. Okay, Claire, I'm glad that you love something I'm glad you love something, Claire. That's great. I love to see that you're in love with something. Will there be a recording? I'm sure there will. This is a sophisticated organization. Come on, this is Virtuous and we are for good. Come on, you know that. You know there's going to be a recording. It's good to see Slow. Slow. San Luis Obispo. I know that. That's near Lompoc, where I was stationed in the Air Force. We do direct mail. Oh, here's a question. Okay, Karen, I'm doing them this way. We do direct mail. Would you suggest doing a letter? I'm reading out loud, so I know you can all read it. I know you can all read, but it's my first time at it, so I'm reading it out loud. Otherwise, it's going to be silence, which is a little off-putting, I think. So, Karen, we do direct mail. Would you suggest doing a letter separate from our normal solicitation to discuss planned giving? Or would you suggest adding a piece on the remittance? Well, Karen, that depends on your budget. As I had said, if your budget supports a piece devoted to direct mail piece devoted to planned giving, then by all means do it. And of course, we recognize it's not just going to be one piece. This is not going to be one and done. We're talking about launching a planned giving program. So you're going to do this at least twice a year. I'd say twice a year is about right. It probably depends on the size of your mail, the list of committed loyal donors that you have, but at least twice a year. But not to suggest that twice a year is not enough. Twice a year is good too. But yes, if you can afford the devoted paper mail, I would do it. If you can't, use the buck slip, or on your remittance, your return. It sounds like you're thinking of your reply. There's Slow again. San Luis Obispo popping up again. Oh, that same one, obviously. How many people could there be in one webinar that mentioned San Luis Obispo, California? Couldn't be more than one person. Oh, somebody else did. There are two. Look at that. How could San Luis Obispo be so popular? All right. Any other questions? I'd love to learn more. We're still crafting what we are going to do for August. Okay. Therapy, Barbara. Therapy, Barbara. August. Any other questions? Anything else I can help you with? I don't know how to unmute you. I probably don't have that capability. It's a very
questions as a
system. So, but any other questions in the chat? Want to throw a question in the chat? Please do. Please do.
Hey, Tony, thank you so much for your time. You're great.
My pleasure. Yeah,
so good.
Thank you for hosting us.
Yeah,
thank you to Virtuous.
Yep. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. And thank you so much. And we're going to go to a break, and then we'll be back. Thank you so much, Tony, for your thoughts, expertise. We're so grateful for your help. Thank you.
My pleasure. We got to go out with music.
Let's do it. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next session. See ya.
What happened to my Don't Fear the Reaper?